Hey guys, how's it going? It is Kire here with another Diablo 4 video, and in today's video we got a 100% uptime Berserking build, double swing, really using the Barber heart and the Berserk ripping aspect to our advantage. I think this is something, I'm going to say this a lot in the video, that I think this is something that is not going to last very long, so if you guys want to take advantage of this, this is your opportunity to do so. I want to say in about an hour, they're going to release the 1.1.2 patch notes, so if there's any mention of any bugged interactions happening there, we'll know for sure. Probably not actually worth investing too many resources into this build, but we'll know then when that patch notes comes out. Cool thing about this build though is how little resources it actually takes to be able to build it. So I'm going to show some highlights, then we'll get into the actual build. Here is the first example. I don't believe this is working as intended. Basically, this just comes down to the Barber heart plus Berserk ripping. I put it on the two-hander, and then I just picked all the moves that give me Berserking. Berserking as long as possible. So this is 83 versus Uber Lilith, and I'm still able to do this. Like, this is stupid. We start off, we'll ramp it up. Look at the damage already. We're ticking for quite a bit. Just did a 9 mil there. 31 mil, 32 mil at level 83 against Uber Lilith, which is hilarious. She takes off another 34 mil right there. So 34 mil, 5 mil in there, 15 mil, I think another 13 mil. She would have died there. She's dead, but she's taken off. But this is the kind of damage you can do with this build. This is absurd at level 83. So for me personally, I don't find any enjoyment in just cheesing Uber Lilith. But at the same time, I do want to have fun. I do want to be able to see how this works in a Nightmare Dungeon environment. If you're going to be leveling up, if you happen to have the Barber heart, how would we go about this? And it's pretty fun to play. So see, you pull them in and they blow up. That's the build. You saw the damage it can do to a boss. You see, that's the point of the build here. We're going to be pulling people together, and the more people, the better. We want as many people around us as possible, and then they explode. I'm going to be sticking with the double swing variant, but this is very splashable, whether you go in Hoda, Whirlwind, Thorns, whatever. But the two things you're going to need is going to be the Barber heart here, this aspect in Berserk ripping. This is the whole point. Splash it into whatever you want, but for the rest of this video, we're going to be focusing on this double swing variant. Okay. So the intention of this build wasn't to be a double swing build. It was just to be, what is the best way I could guarantee berserking as much as possible? And it turns out double swing makes it permanent. Looking at this, because you just take it for granted with double swing, because it has this really good talent and violent double swing. Hitting an enemy with both hits of double swing makes them vulnerable for 2 seconds. So that's one of the best skill passives in the entire game. But we have this other talent, which is really good for this. Casting double swing while berserking grants 2 additional seconds of berserking. So we could just continually do this. So we have the combination of this where we're getting the fury if they're knocked down or stunned. Then we just hit them if they're berserking. We keep the berserking going. You get berserking with the war cry, and then you also get berserking with double swing, and then you also get berserking from steel grasp. This is the best synergy. You pull people in, and then you double swing. Initially, I was thinking, okay, I just keep my normal weapon mastery build with death blow, because you get berserking here. But the issue is that in the Paragon board, I had to switch this to Wrath because I was running Weapon Master, but hitting a weapon with a Weapon Mastery skill reduces the active cooldown by another random Weapon Mastery skill by 2 seconds. I was hoping I could switch between Death Blow and Steel Grasp, but the issue is that we're not hitting anyone with a Weapon Mastery skill because of the Barber. This thing has taken it over, and it doesn't count as actually hitting an enemy with a Weapon Master skill. So that's why I dropped the whole Weapon Mastery thing when it comes to this. Bummer, because if it actually worked that way, this would be insane, being able to switch between Death Blow and Steel Grasp and keep the cooldown and have 100% berserking that way. And then you can even throw it on top if you want to when it comes to this, but we're missing out on the vulnerable. Luckily, we do get vulnerable from Steel Grasp, and this is going to be a big way that we're going to be starting the chain anyway. So it's really not the end of the world that we're losing vulnerable. The big thing would be dropping berserking. I was thinking about running something like unconstrained. This is just not worth it. It just increases the maximum duration by 5 seconds, but we're going to be extending it by 2 seconds constantly. We want gushing wounds. When causing an enemy to bleed, you have a chance equal to your crit strike chance to increase the bleed amount by 115% of your critical strike damage bonus. So this is the one we're going with for this particular build. That is why we're doing that. A couple other key things. So you want Berserk ripping on the two-hander. This thing could be changed. I'm thinking going with accelerating on the two-hander for damage. You could go like Limitless Fury. That's another one that I would recommend potentially on the two-hander. I also think this is probably going to get patched. If I had to guess, patch notes are not dropped yet at the time of recording this in 1.1.2. There might be some bug interaction here that might get fixed, so I don't really recommend going all in on this build. But these are the things to try to look for if you're going to be trying this out. So let's actually go into let's actually just try this. Let's do a harder one here. So this is like a 30 level punch up for an 83, doing a 56. That's really nice about this build, the recently buffed version of this. Aggressive resistance, gain 12% damage reduction while berserking. And then another thing too, if you really want to go with this whole setup, and when it comes to these brawling skills, you could consider some of these other ones, because you do get, when brawling skill damages at least one enemy, gain berserking for 1 second, and then that goes up to 3 seconds. So that's actually a pretty reasonable way to be able to guarantee berserking. You could do some kind of leap quake thing. Like, there's a whole bunch of options here when it comes to continuing the berserking to get berserk ripping. And then another thing too that I forgot to mention is this aspect. So Bear Clan Berserker's Loop. Killing an enemy while berserking has a 40% chance to grant 28% increased cooldown reduction, or up to 32% up to your brawling skills for 2 seconds. So I think this was really good too. So here is the example of it. Notice how on the bottom we keep continual versions of berserking. We pull people in and let it rip. So this is how the build actually works. And what this is able to do on a 30 level punch up, or roughly a 30 level punch up, is pretty wild. I can do that, especially when you pull people in. And then, well, when it comes to Warcry, we're going to be getting more if we actually pull people in. I don't think I took that talent because I didn't think it was that necessary to get more damage. We already do a ton of damage anyway. The thing we really want is the 4 seconds of berserking here. And then come through. The nice thing too, I got the earthquake. I think I removed the aspect because it's on the ring, but I would definitely consider the earthquake passive really important to be able to do more damage. Actually, I think it's gonna look a little awkward. Also, since we're doing the skills here, or the shouts, you could just go full shouts, because I already have a shout here, and we're getting that cooldown reduction. We don't really need to go Iron Skin here. It could be another thing that we can change as well. But this is the whole point of the build. Stay berserking as much as possible. Once you start berserking, you can't stop berserking. So that is nice. The whole point of it. But there's so many different ways we could go about this, and the amount of damage you get is insane. So I think I've kind of proved the point of the build here. I think this is legitimately worth building for now, but I also think this is something that's subject to change here potentially pretty quickly. So I wouldn't expect this to last long. I would at least wait until the patch notes come out for 1.1.2 before you go all in. I think there's a high likelihood that this is going to get nerfed. Okay, so that's pretty much the highlights of the build. I will leave 2 build planner links down below, one for the current build that I have and one for a shout version of this build, so you can take it from here if you guys want to actually build this. Highly recommend waiting until 1.1.2 comes out to see if there's any bugged interactions. If this is actually here to stay and working as intended, I'll do a full breakdown of this build here in a bit, but I really don't think it's worth it at this point, and it's just so splashable and so easy to be able to actually put on your character that I don't think we need to go crazy in depth, at least at this point, for something that's one-shotting Lilith here pretty quick. It's just really hard for me to want to go all in with it, but at the same time, I think this is something fun to try out here for a bit while it's still active, and then I'm assuming it's going to get nerfed here really soon. But I'm hoping what happens is they just nerf the continuing scaling aspect of this build to where we're able to do, 32 million crits against Lilith, but then they keep the aspect of being able to what we're doing in the Nightmare Dungeons. That's what I'm hoping for, because I think the cheese of Uber Lilith is just pretty crazy. A couple things I do want to shout out here. A lot more videos to come here in the near future, but I also stream every single Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So if you guys want to catch me live, be sure to check that out. I'll leave a link down below. You can follow me there, and I'll be live. Usually I'm live around like 5 p.m. Pacific time. Hope to see you guys there, but that's where I've been working on as many videos as I can in my schedule. This is part-time for me, so it's very difficult to keep up with the continual grind of YouTube, but I do have some continual things here planned with Twitch, and I am working on videos. It just takes me a bit to get these out because I am part-time when it comes to the content creation side. So hope to see you guys there on the live streams, and with that, guys, I'm out of here. Peace.